poster where I talk about the real mental health damage this causes. There are two main types of damages: what happens inside you and what happens in your life. First, what happens inside you? Low self esteem. This means you have a negative opinion of yourself overall. You tie your entire worth to your appearance. When you don't look the way society says you should, you feel flawed and unlovable. This shows up in real ways. You avoid photos, you obsess over your reflection. In extreme cases, you might try dangerous skin lightening creams that can cause mercury poisoning and permanent damage. People risk their physical health just to feel acceptable. Second, what happens in your life? Social anxiety. This is a really strong fear of being judged by others. You believe everyone is looking at your skin or your features and finding faults. This leads to avoidance. You skip class discussions, you avoid parties or networking events. Some people won't even leave the house without heavy makeup or full coverage clothing. Physically, this might show up as blushing, sweating, a racing heart, and sometimes even panic attacks in social situations. But where it really gets painful, this is the most important part of my poster. I call it the pedestal effect. When people feel they don't measure up, they don't admire those who do, they put them on a pedestal. They start to believe that person isn't just prettier than me, they are better than me, their life is easier, they deserve everything good. This creates a one-way street. All the admiration, respect, values go upward towards the ideal person, and it flows away from themselves. Imagine a pyramid. At the top, you have the elevated ideal, lighter skin, sharp features, and at the bottom, you have the diminished self, natural features, darker skin, and there's a thick arrow pointing only upward, labeled worth goes one way. When you constantly look up to others for their appearance, you start looking down on yourself. You begin to see your natural traits as mistakes that need fixing. You see this everywhere. Scroll through Instagram or TikTok. Notice how many likes and comments go to people with lighter skin and straight hair. Notice how people with darker skin or natural features often get fewer compliments or even cruel comments. Society is literally voting with its attention, putting certain people on a pedestal and pushing others into the shadows. There is also a dangerous side effect I call the danger of proximity. People who feel inferior often try to get close to those they have put on a pedestal. They become people pleasers. They hide their true selves. They become sidekicks in their own lives. Also comparing, and always feeling less. But here's the good news. But here's the good news. We can break this cycle, and there's exactly what I cover in the fifth section of my poster. Healing starts when we start looking up at others, when we stop looking up at others for their skin and start looking inward for our real worth. Here are a few things we can actually do. First, compare sideways, not upward. Instead of looking at people who are perfect, look at people who share your features and are thriving. Let them be your mirror. They prove that your appearance isn't a barrier to success or happiness. Challenge your thoughts. This is a technique from cognitive behavioral therapy. When you catch yourself thinking I'm ugly, stop and ask yourself two questions. Am I judging my entire worth based on one feature? Would I talk to a friend the way I talk to myself? And get professional support if you need it. Therapies like CBT and ACT are really effective at breaking social anxiety and rebuilding self-esteem. There's no shame in asking for help. Here's a hopeful example. Look at the Dark is Beautiful campaign or the growing body positivity movement. Women with darker skin, natural hair, and diverse features are now walking runways, starring in films, and building empires. They didn't change their appearance, they changed the narrative. You can too. So let's bring it all together.